It is an honor to be up here and to have an opportunity to share a part of my past, my history, and what's led up to this point. And I believe my topic is rising against the odds and how to overcome adversity to become a better, more authentic version of ourselves. And this is my first time speaking on behalf of my very own business, so to say that I'm nervous would be an understatement. Desiree is my best friend, and she kept telling me, just be yourself. And as interesting as it is, when I walk up, there's a little voice inside me that says, be anything other than yourself, right? Just be anything else than that. And so it's a nice, it'll play into the topic really well, you know, and doing the work and showing up in life. I'm the owner of Altered Self Wellness, and I'm a personal coach, and I love to work with women and help them find themselves again and fall in love with themselves and create a business or a life that they're in love with. And I think that my story will show how, you know, I was made to do that, right? Yeah. Starting out in life, I was up against the odds. I was born to a single mother, teenage runaway drug addict. And my life was consumed with chaos and lack of structure and violence. I didn't understand what was going on. I couldn't figure it out at such a young age, so I internalized it all and blamed myself. And I checked out, I disassociated from every part of me, because we are a trinity, you know, a mind, body, and spirit. So we live our physical lives and our intellectual lives and our soul lives. But from the beginning, I disassociated from all of that. And I spent the rest of my time, up until I was 23, I checked out of life and I dropped into eating disorders and drug addiction and trying to be anything other than who I am, because I couldn't understand. I couldn't figure out what was going on in my life. And so I missed a large portion of my life because I used for about 10 years. You know, I hit a bottom in my life and it was time to turn things around. It was the last option. Didn't seem like a good idea. I had run out of options, to be honest. And I started trying to figure out how to do that in my life. And I started bringing my mind back on. So I started learning how to listen when other people spoke. I mean, basic human things. And I remember growing up thinking, boy, there's a playbook that people have for life, like in school. Like, people seem to have some kind of playbook for like how to do life that I didn't get. Because they were doing it well. Even in high school, people had passions, people had identities, they had their strengths. I didn't have any of that. I didn't know any of that. So I started learning the mental part and bringing that intellectual self back in, learning how to communicate with someone, how to listen, how to separate out what is a thought from an emotion. And this was kind of a slow process for me. Now, mind you, I didn't quite understand what it meant to be an adult or live. So I was taught to kind of act as if, and this means just kind of made it look good, right? Like, just act like we know what we're doing. And what I did is I picked up pace and I just started becoming. I started becoming a mother, I became a wife, I became a homeowner, I became a journeyman electrician. After that, I hit another bottom in my life, another, as Glennon Doyles will call it, an unbecoming, right? The first unbecoming made sense because I wasn't living very well, like I expected that one to happen. But the second unbecoming caught me off guard because I was doing the thing, you know, I was the mom and the wife and the homeowner. But what happened is my body became inflamed in pain. And I couldn't move very well, and I went in to get some diagnosis to figure out what's going on. I'd slowly given up everything that I had loved, one piece at a time, and they all seemed to have a really good reason. You know, like, I'm a mom now, so I can't golf. But when it stopped, like, when it all came to a headway, I realized that it was because of this pain in my body. I had been running through my life trying to outrun my own pain and my own shame, because what happened is when I disassociated from all the parts of who I am, it manifested externally. I mean, and the girls will tell you, I would wear these high heels and I would go get this tan skin and this blonde hair, you know what, and I just tried to look like, on the outside, I tried to look like anything opposite than who I am, which is a pale girl, brunette, you know, so that can like kind of tell you what was going on the inside too. You know, I was trying to be strong for everyone in my life. I was trying to not be emotional, just opposite of who I am, the very nature, the very core. And so this unbecoming, this is when everything was stripped away that I thought I needed. I thought I needed the $100,000 job a year, you know, I thought I needed to have all of these certain things in my life in order to be okay. Went in and basically they said my vertebrae was shattered and that I have hip dysplasia in both hips. So both hips would need to be replaced. Because I went into the doctor, I said, I hurt right here. Right in this area. If you could just take a peek at it. What that meant is I was going to need at least 3 surgeries. They wanted to start with the back. And the back surgery went wrong, and so I laid in bed for a year. Right? I could be vertical for 4 hours. And I spent 3 of those at work trying to maintain this job, this career as an electrician. And I had a 3-year-old daughter. What I kept hearing in my mind was, be still. Be still, Mandy. And that's when it really dawned on me that I had run for like 9 years as fast as I could, becoming everything that I could possibly be. And I had never stopped to even take a breath and ask, is this who I am? Is this what I'm good at? Is this something I like to do? You know? Yeah. This voice is saying, be still, and I'm going, no! And I'm calling for them, crying, and I'm curled up in a ball. You know, I would be strong when my daughter came home. I'd pick her up from school, and I'd wipe up my tears, and I'd pick my daughter up like, we're having a good day. And then as soon as she would leave, I would curl up in a ball in my closet, my walk-in closet, and just cry and call my friends bawling, because it felt to me like my life was slipping away. Okay, so from there, it was starting to be time to bring my body back online. I had started bringing the mind back on, doing some of the mind work for many years, but I wasn't connected to my body. So I was still suffering with eating disorders up until the time I had my daughter, or have forever, but not suffer with, right? Because today I have the tools in my life. I don't have to stay stuck. I still feel things and deal with things, but I don't stay there. I'm taught that anything I'm ashamed of, I can't love or accept, right? And so this has been a slow process of getting to know who I am and bravely stepping into that and saying, this is me. Yeah. And I've been consistently doing it. And it's harder at times than others. I have been exercising fanatically and like eating meals where, you know, like trying not to eat, you know. And when I would exercise, I would say, it's good for my emotions. I'm getting my emotions out. But what I was really doing was turning all of my anger, all of my hurt, all of my pain inside towards my body when I exercised. So I would be like hating myself with every single movement that I did and channeling it inwards. You know, no wonder my body was falling apart, right? And I finally, when I did get pregnant, I was amazed at some of the transformation that happened, the love that happened with my body. I would eat things and be like, whoa, have this baby, and I'd look in the mirror and be like, whoa. Whoa. Like, I'm in cahoots with God, you know, like we're making a human. And I started doing the work around my body. I started being very intentional about when I exercised, that I was channeling love and acceptance into my body. So if you see me at the gym, I am there because I love my body. And I'm taking every step and every breath and turning that in towards my body, that I accept it as it is. And today when I exercise, it's for my brain, for trauma. So it's more for the endorphins than it is for my body, because I finally surrendered and I laid down in my bed and I thought, what is left? What is left if I can't move, if I can't stand? I couldn't lay on a hard surface, I couldn't sit on a hard surface, I couldn't travel to Anchorage, and I had a second surgery for my back, but I just remember surrendering on a whole another level, and I laid down on my bed and I said, what's left? Who am I if I can't move? So my love language is acts of service. That's how I show love, is I help, and that's how I feel love. Like when my husband takes the trash out, I'm like, honey, you looking good. There's the dishes for me. Or does one of my chores. He has his own, so we're a balanced family. When I laid there, I was filled with the regret that I had lived my life trying to make everybody around me happy. And failed. I failed. Like I had spent every waking hour trying to say the right thing and do the right thing for your approval and your approval and yours. And half you guys hated me anyways. And I didn't realize that until I stopped and laid down. Oh man. I started wondering, well, who am I? If I'm not who you want me to be, and I'm not who you want me to be, then who am I? What do I want? And I did this thing, and if you're one of my clients sitting here tonight, you'll hear where this came from. I did this thing where I texted everybody I knew, what are my top strengths? And they texted me back strengths, and I looked at these strengths, and I thought, well, there I am. There I am. I decided I was going to get better, but I knew that I had to change everything. Everything had fallen away. I was broken emotionally and spiritually and physically. And I became willing to figure out how to use these strengths, even if I was laying in my bed for the rest of my life. I was going to run a phone service, crisis hotline for somebody. Right? Because it's up there. It's love and compassion. And I did make up my mind that I was going to get better. And I broke up with all my doctors. I said, it's not you, it's me. The physical therapist. Because what happened is I was going to all of these, I was going to physical therapists, neurologists, doctors, primary doctors, surgeons, and doing these checkups, and they had me circling my pain, rating it. So every day I was looking at my pain underneath a magnifying glass, right? So I broke it off with them for a minute, and I said, I'm going to take a breather here, and I'm going to look at my life, at 3 stools of my life, right? Nutrition, movement, not so much exercise, movement, and meditation, breath work. My whole life I have heard, have you meditated today, man? My dad trained me to meditate. Like I did this ceremony in Iowa when I was 10 years old, and I've lived with him parts of my childhood, and he would say, have you meditated? And all my special recovery things are on, have you meditated today, right? So it's been going on my whole life. So just a couple years ago I started meditating. Figured the message was for me. Right? If I hear something over and over again, there's a very good chance that that message is for me. So I started looking at those things, and I realized that I wasn't eating, I was eating all right, but I wasn't eating all right. I wasn't doing the movement consistently or in a manner that showed myself love, and I wasn't. So I just focused my energy on those things and finding that balance and literally laying down and being still and breathing and meditating every day. Single day, lay down and I meditate and I schedule it, and it's part of my routine, and I check in with that still small voice inside me, because this is what I've learned about pain, especially emotional pain. I think that I was always afraid of the pain, someone's disapproval, just the pain that I internalized. But what I've been taught is that we should be afraid of the easy out buttons, checking out of pain, the scrolling Facebook, the Amazon, the chocolate, how do you tap out? Yeah, because that's what robs us of our transformation. Because my pain is my greatest teacher. It's what taught me what I need to know to go to the next level in my life. But I was running from it as fast as I could in every chance that I could. And I started getting better. For like 3 years, I thought I was supposed to not be an electrician. And I'd tell my friends, I think God wants me to go a different direction, but I'm not willing. And so I kept telling my friends, I'm in a standoff with God. Which sounds so ridiculous, right? Like I'm in a standoff with the universe. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win. I'm pretty sure I got this, ladies. But I didn't. It whooped me. So for the years building up to that, I became willing in that time when I was still to like, okay, I'm supposed to go another direction. And I was looking at all the strengths and trying to figure out how they all fit together, and then it was like, bing, coaching. Okay. Okay. And and I didn't know how, and I didn't know why or when or how this would all work or come together. And I just started doing one step at a time, being willing. When I got training, then they were like, well, you have to do these, you have to do something for like marketing. You have to let people know who you are. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, yeah, you can do videos or podcasts. Oh man, a video? Because I don't know how to do a podcast. I did videos in high school. I'm like, okay. So I mean, to this day, you guys will see my videos up there. But for me, it's a huge act of vulnerability. I have to let you know who I am. You have to see me, and I don't want you to see me. I just got to know me, you know. And so I'm running the camera, and I'm setting it up, and then I run out in front of the camera, and then I shoot it, and I'm like, yes, sounds smart, you know, and run back, and my head's chopped off. Oh man. So do this, so by the time you guys see a video, it's like, it's been 6 times, 12 hours of editing, because I don't know how to edit. I tried with a script, but I kept doing this. So it's been this journey, this vulnerability, this way of aligning with who I authentically am, with my strengths. And I kept saying, you know, if I do this, I'm going to be stepping into the world as me. You know what I mean? As an electrician, if I sucked, it was no loss to me if I was mediocre, right? But as I step into my personal strengths and into who I authentically am, it better be good. And it's been such an honor and such a blessing, because each person I work with, I fall in love with, and then they send their family members in, and it's just, I don't know where this is going, and I'm not in control, but I'm willing to be who I authentically am. So I started bringing the body on, I brought the mind on, and now it's the spirit, right? That soul work. And I started learning self-compassion techniques, and I thought, oh my gosh, where has this been all my life? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm 36 years old. I've never said that. I only say 26. So that was weird. I'm 36 years old, and I just learned last year that it's okay to be kind to myself. Like, that's a thing. That's what self-compassion is, right? Like, I'm human, I'm not alone, and how can I be kind to myself? Oh my God. I'm like, this is for reals? And I put my hand over my heart. When I feel ashamed or a shame spiral coming on, when I see a micro expression in someone's face and feel like they're disapproving of me. Really, they just farted. Right? And they're just trying to get away from me. Right? But I don't know that. So I put my hand over my heart and I say, I love you. How can I be kind to myself in this moment? And I'm learning how to love myself. So I'm figuring out how to do that for myself in my life today. And then what I've learned is that when I learn something like this, it's really important to give it away. Right? It reinforces it and starts a ripple in our worlds, in our community, in our family. So then we started a self-love course, right? And then we got 12 women tribing up, and we're all going, love me. Yes! How can I be kind to myself today? And then from the self-love course, here we all are now at a retreat. How can we be kind to ourselves? So I'm doing the soul work now, and I'm more aligned with who I am, and I'm afraid all the time. But today, it just doesn't make my decisions. It's like, oh, there you are, fear. Okay. We're going to do it anyways. Right? I don't tan. I grew my blonde hair out symbolically, you know, and I'm not saying, no, I'm not saying if you guys dye your hair or anything, you're not authentic. Don't get me wrong. No, for me, I was hiding who I was, and I used that external part of aligning who I am to begin the process of the internal work. I started the work, and I brought it all together, and now it's just taking each step forward and just blind leaps of faith. If you're sitting here tonight, you work hard, you know the value of showing up for yourself in a healthy way, to do something kind and good for yourself, and that's huge. Just to take a time out, grab your friend, and go to a retreat. When I listen to speakers, because we're going to have a couple more and some workshop leaders, I was taught early on, probably by Christy, to listen, to identify, find something I identify with. Our brains, I know this as a coach now too, our brains look for something to discount us from other people, intuitively. I mean, naturally, that's what it does. Like, well, I'm different. I had 2 parents, you know, my home was, we look for that instinctively. We can be intentional about finding something that we connect with each person who speaks, and we won't rob ourselves of the gift that they're offering. How to identify with others so I don't feel alone in a room, which is how I spent most of my life. Rising against the odds is about becoming courageous in spite of fear. It's about finding meaning in each struggle of my life, and I look for that, and when I'm looking for that, my life is enhanced because I get to become one step closer to my authentic self. And with that, I hope you guys found some kind of inspiration from my little story.